It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
Welcome back to Post Tech. Today we move on to episode number 26 after an incredible throwback weekend and Winston 400 at the famous North Wilkesboro Speedway. The race saw Eric Jones take his second career NASCAR Cup Series victory in the number 37 for JTG Daugherty Racing. Today we'll be covering the remaining races of the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series, the Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway, and the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. But first, let's start with the full rundown of the point standings following the Winston 400 from North Wilkesboro Speedway. As you know, we were having trouble getting the updated point standings during the race broadcast, but here they finally are for your viewing pleasure. Following his runner-up finish in the Winston 400, Daniel Suarez sets atop the playoff standings, plus 43 above the cutoff line. That's just barely outside of being a full race above the cutoff line. All he needs to do is score a half-decent finish at Michigan, and then he will automatically clinch a spot into the round of 8, not even have to worry about the Charlotte Roval. He can easily do it on points. Chase Elliott, with his third-place finish in the Winston 400, he now sets plus 29 above the cutoff line, a very good margin for Elliott. Kyle Busch, plus 22. Brandon Jones, plus 20. Kevin Harvick, plus 14. Martin Truex Jr., plus 5 above. Denny Hamlin, plus 4 above. And Kaz Grala, just barely 1 point above the cutoff line. Then we have Joey Logano, the regular season champion. Still without a win on the season, he sets just 1 point on the outside, looking in 1 point below the cutoff line for the round of 8. Chase Briscoe in the number 53 car, after winning 2 races this year, he now sets minus 2 from the cutoff line as well. Alex Bowman, after his DNF at North Wilkesboro, sets minus 9 from the cutoff line, and Michael McDowell sets minus 12 from the cutoff line, the driver who is in the deepest hole so far. And just for the fun of it, here is the expanded look at the rest of the contenders from 13th through 20th in point standings, those being the drivers who have already been eliminated from the playoffs and those who did not make it whatsoever. Kyle Larson currently sets best of those who have already been eliminated, 13th in points. Behind him is DiBenedetto by 2 points, then by 2 more points, Justin Allgaier, and then a pretty big margin back to the lowest runner who made the playoffs this season, Josh Blicky in the number 71 for Tommy Baldwin Racing. Then the highest driver who did not make the playoffs whatsoever, it's Clint Boyer in the number 14 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in his final full-time season. He has 13 top 10s on the season, 191 laps led. But surprisingly, no poles and no race wins this year for Boyer. That's what ultimately knocked him out of playoff contention. He actually has the 5th most points on the year of any competitor. However, those lack of scoring victories is what has kicked him outside the playoffs, and he is currently battling to be the highest driver who did not make the playoffs. And right now he's got a pretty good margin above the number 37 of Eric Jones, who sets 18th in points, then the 55 of Ross Chastain 19th, and the number 1 car of Kurt Busch setting 20th in points. And so now that we've finally got those point standings covered, let's recap some of the on-track action at the North Wilkesboro Speedway in the Winston 400. Stage number 1 caught a lot of contenders off guard, as most drivers and teams alike, assumed that the entire stage required just 1 pit stop to make it all the way to the finish of the first 50 laps. However, certain drivers such as Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, and Jimmy Johnson managed to make the entire length of the stage without pitting whatsoever. By backing their pace way down, this allowed them to lap drivers such as playoff contenders Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, who had already come down pit road right in the middle of stage number 1. They tried to split the stage in half. Now, if there would have been a caution flag over the course of stage number 1, this would not have been a concern, because he really only needed to save about 1 or 2 laps on gas to begin with, and that's how drivers such as Jones, Suarez, and Johnson made it to the finish of the stage without pitting whatsoever. However, the stage did go caution-free the first 50 laps without a single yellow flag, which enabled certain drivers to take advantage of the strategy by backing down that pace and saving the necessary gas to make it to the finish, and they lapped numerous competitive cars, which they surprisingly never got their laps back over the course of the next 150 laps. Drivers such as, say, Keselowski, Hamlin, Logano, they got trapped that lap down, they never made it back. But in typical North Wilkesboro fashion, only 17 cars finished on the lead lap. However, there was a dogfight for the lead in the closing laps among drivers Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, Matt DiBenedetto, Chase Elliott, and Jimmy Johnson. Pretty much the whole top five had a shot at it in the closing laps. Jimmy Johnson had taken on tires during the final stage during an unscheduled pit stop to check for brake shake. Once they got the problem resolved, it looked like he was poised to take the victory with the very same strategy that Austin Dillon beat him with the previous season. But pole sitter Johnson got held up in traffic and ultimately finished in 5th position. In 3 starts this year, Johnson's average finish is 11.3. Quite impressive for Chip Ganassi Racing's 4th car, and his performance is easily feeding the rumors of a full-time return to Cup Series competition. It's also important to note that Carvana is fully committed to Jimmy Johnson for the 2022 season, regardless of what type of racing he does. But in the end, in the Winston 400, it was Eric Jones holding off Daniel Suarez in the first ever green-white checkered finish in the history of North Wilkesboro Speedway. This is not only a big win for Jones, but also for the team, which has been shut out of victory lane since 2014 at Watkins Glen, when they got the victory with A.J. Allmendinger. Eric Jones not only led the most laps with 57 in the Winston 400, but he did it from the 37th starting position. The multi-groove racing that we've started to see at North Wilkesboro since they've applied the new asphalt sealer certainly aided him in his charge to the front of the field. Daniel Suarez's second-place finish has given him a very comfortable 43-point margin above the cutoff line, and also there's a very comfortable 29-point margin above the cutoff line for the third-place runner of Chase Elliott. While on the other hand, at Hendrick Motorsports, the Winston 400 marked a disappointing afternoon for the Richmond race winner of Alex Bowman, who crashed out late with Justin Haley and now sets -9 from the cutoff line. So he has a slight mountain to climb in the next 2 races at Michigan and the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval to make the round of 8. Now on to some silly season news, mainly pertaining to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We have a very interesting situation unfolding to the soon-to-be Truck Series regular Ryan Preece. Hunt Brothers Pizza, who sponsors his efforts in the Cup Series with Trackhouse Racing, may not be his sponsor in the Camping World Truck Series. The reason behind this move is that Kevin Harvick Incorporated was fully prepared to welcome Ryan Preece into their revived NASCAR Xfinity Series program for 2022. But Ryan Preece saw a better opportunity with Kyle Busch Motorsports. So there is some tension between Hunt Brothers Pizza, KHI, and Ryan Preece, which might eventually escalate to them dropping Preece entirely. However, KBM has enough backing to where it would not be too major for Preece if he loses Kevin Harvick's support. Also, in wake of drivers Cameron Haley, James Buescher, TJ Bell, and Scott Lagasse Jr. all finding success this season in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, we have yet another driver looking to come back into the Truck Series next year. Former RCR driver Joey Coulter has found sponsorship and is looking at making a full-time comeback. The majority of the talks have been with Germain Racing surrounding their number 60 truck for next season. But that would be assuming that they let the incredibly consistent Casey Mears go. There have been meetings with Starcom Speed Station as well, which could be a backup for him if the number 60 deal falls through. So it'll be interesting to see where Joey Coulter could end up next season. And it's very great to see him returning to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for 2022. And by the way, speaking of Germain Racing, Tyler Reddick has been added to their list of drivers in the number 3 truck for 2022. Reddick has uncharacteristically struggled this season in the NASCAR Cup Series for Richard Childress Racing. Only 5 top 10s this year, and they have been shut out of victory lane so far. They won in their first season together at Daytona, a very late clutch victory into the playoffs, and they won very early last year at Texas Motor Speedway, but so far this year they have been completely shut out of victory lane. There have been some rumors that Germain Racing could possibly be trying to lead Tyler Reddick away from RCR due to how badly the team has struggled this year. In fact, Austin Dillon sets all the way down in 36th in point standings in the Cup Series, pretty much cementing the fact that his move to Stuart Evernham for next year couldn't have come at a better time. Kaz Grella is RCR's best hope right now, and most likely their main driver for next season. Strange to see a team of their caliber fall off at the rate that they have recently, reminiscent of Richard Petty Motorsports' fall in the most recent decade. The long-awaited GMS Racing announcement at the North Wilkesboro Speedway has occurred, and it details their full plans for the 2022 season on both the Truck Series and Cup Series sides. The biggest bit of news is their confirmation of Sheldon Creed. He is moving to the NASCAR Cup Series for the full season to run for Sunoco Rookie of the Year honors in their flagship number 26 car. This announcement obviously comes in wake of Tyler Ankrum moving to Hendrick Motorsports next season, replacing William Byron. Creed will be receiving sponsorship from Marcus Lemonis' companies as well as all of GMS Racing's partners in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. GMS Racing also confirmed the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series lineup for next year. Brett Holmes moves to the number 2 truck, simply a number change for that team. Zane Smith will return to the number 21 truck for the full season. And here's where things get interesting. They have added former Bill McAnally driver Gracie Trotter to the team as BMR recently became allied with GMS Racing. Technical sharing going on between those two organizations and driver development sharing as well. Trotter will drive the number 23 truck full-time next year. Finally, they have added development driver Jack Wood to their full-time program. He will drive the number 26 truck, replacing the departing Chase Purdy. Purdy is now a free agent. The team will continue to field the number 24 truck with a rotating cast of drivers. Confirmed names include Justin Haley, Daniel Dye, and veterans Jeff Gordon, who will likely just run Wilkesboro next year, and Greg Biffle. But for this series, most importantly of the drivers that they have signed, 4-time champion Ron Hornaday Jr., who is signed for 2 races next year. Hornaday's long-awaited return could also possibly mark an opportunity for his protege, Landon Lewis, who is already an ARCA Menard Series race winner. There are a few other drivers who remain unconfirmed, as the full schedule for the number 24 truck is still to be announced. Also, in more Truck Series news, Jesse Love has been confirmed to run a partial schedule in the Venturini Motorsports number 25 truck. He will only be 17 years old for the 2022 season, so he can only run ovals beneath 1.25 miles in length as well as the road courses, but he intends on attempting all the races in which he is legally allowed to attempt. We also had another long-expected announcement confirmed over the past week. John Hunter Nemechek will return to Nemco Motorsports, driving for his father in the 2022 season, driving the number 8 truck on a full-time basis. The team is committed to competing for the championship with both John Hunter and their current driver, Timothy Peters. We have yet to hear word on whether or not they will run a third truck for a few races with, say, Joe Nemechek or any other ringers that they have had over the course of this season run the 8 truck. We're still unsure as to whether or not they will run that third truck in any events next year, or if it will just be 2 trucks on a full-time basis. Finally, we have yet another team expanding into the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for the 2022 season. RSS Racing is returning to Truck Series competition, and they will field Ford F-150s primarily for Ryan Sieg's younger brother, Kyle Sieg, who we've seen in ARCA Menard Series competition all throughout the year. Ryan himself will attempt at least Daytona in February, and Kyle will run the truck in 12 races, with the exact schedule still to be finalized. Similar to Ryan's NASCAR Xfinity Series program, the Camping World Truck Series team will receive support from Haas Racing, which might in fact open up the opportunity for Haas drivers Cole Custer, William Byron, and Riley Herbst to potentially run a few races for the team as well. And so, folks, in the NASCAR Cup Series round of 12, we have 1 race down from North Wilkesboro, but we got 2 more to go. High-speed pack racing at Michigan and a technical road course challenge at the Charlotte Motor Speedway will certainly prove to be some of the toughest races of the year on the 12 remaining championship contenders. And following Charlotte, that number gets cut down to 8. And now, here are the highlights of the final round of 12 races in the NASCAR Cup Series, the Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway, and the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In the race analysis, the Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway will take place over the course of 100 laps around this 2-mile oval in Brooklyn, Michigan, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 20 and stage number 2 coming to its conclusion on lap number 40. And folks, this is going to be very intense draft-style racing. You will most likely see slingshots over the course of these 100 laps around Michigan, as we're running the 550 aero package around this place, 8 inches of rear spoiler. These cars produce a very big wake and allows for slingshot-style passes to be made in the corners that we see here at Michigan. We saw an incredible race in the Camping World Truck Series here during the middle of the summer when they ran their non-companion event, and I would expect more of the same here today in the middle of the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series. And because this is almost a super speedway style race, it is a playoff wild card. Honestly, I'd put my bet on there being a non-playoff contender win this race, because practically anyone could win it. There's only 12 drivers chasing a championship, but 40 starters. So the odds are definitely in favor of an upset here today at Michigan. And because we are running this practically like a super speedway race, what is most important is pretty much keeping the car clean. That's because essentially the big one could start at any time and anywhere on the racetrack. You have to try and keep that race car clean until lap 100. Then you can start making a really aggressive moves, but you want to be able to get there first and have a shot at least finishing the race. And much like your typical super speedway, tire wear is really not a factor here at Michigan. What is most important is staying in the draft and keeping yourself close to the front of the field. However, if we do not get a caution flag in the final stage, we will certainly see at least one green flag pit stop. The final stage is 60 laps. That is 120 miles here at the Michigan International Speedway. You can obviously not make that on one load of fuel, so you will have to make at least one pit stop. Whether that come under green or under caution, we'll have to wait and see. But if it comes under green, that's a big opportunity for strategy in the Consumers Energy 400. And once again, folks, it is the playoffs. Now into the round of 12, and we are the second race in the round of 12 already. Win and you are in. You can score the victory here today in the Consumers Energy 400. You will not have to concern yourself with the practically demolition derby that the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval typically turns into. It's very difficult to win at that racetrack as well, because if you're not in the thick of the battle, you still need to have a lot of experience at extremely technical road courses. So this could potentially be quite a few drivers' one and only chance of winning their way in to the round of 8 and continuing their quest for the NASCAR Cup Series title. And so per the usual testing standards, NASCAR invited 6 teams to participate in a multi-car next-gen test at the Michigan International Speedway. Drivers included Eric Almirola, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, and the 50 of Kaz Gralla. And you may notice that 2 of those drivers, those being Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell, have already tested the next-gen car under these 6-car procedures, and that is because Toyota has actually already ran out of different types of drivers that can test this car, believe it or not. They do not have enough teams to obviously supply 2 unique drivers to each test, so they have started to cycle through the drivers that they already have. Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell respectively tested in the first 2 6-car tests under the new protocols at both Darlington and Rockingham. That's how they have cycled to being part of this test here at Michigan. But as you can tell, the cars that tested here at the Michigan International Speedway were using a package that is almost identical, aerodynamically speaking, to the one that we run on the current Generation 6 car, which is why it was able to draft up very well and stay in these somewhat tight packs around the Michigan International Speedway. Running right up towards the top of the racetrack, keep that throttle pedal down for as long as possible. What was noticed as being pretty significantly different compared to what these competitors noticed in the current car as compared to this next-gen car is that lack of side force. It's very squirrely if the car starts to step out a little bit. You don't have that side force to rely on if the thing gets a little bit loose. So it does reward a good driver a little bit more, because you do not get that second chance to save the car once it does start to break free just a little bit. With this car, it's very aero-dependent on the tall rear spoiler, which in this case was 8 inches in height to produce this high downforce package. But a very big lack of side force means you're very aero-dependent on just that rear spoiler. So it does make this thing still pretty hard to drive, even though it has a lot of rear downforce. But that amount of downforce keeps this field relatively tight, which is why you're seeing this drafting and slingshot style racing in the test here at Michigan International Speedway. So all 6 drivers were satisfied with what they experienced out of the next-gen car here at Michigan, and it's very exciting to see what this car will do once there is 40 of them running on track at the same time, because watching just 6 go after it is rather entertaining. But imagine a full field out here competing possibly under playoff conditions, as we will be next season here at Michigan. And how about this? Jan Magnussen has scored the pole here at the Michigan International Speedway by about a 10.5 above the second-place qualifier of Austin Cindric. You wouldn't quite expect Magnussen to score the pole here at Michigan, but then again, this is not the first time that a road course ace has won the pole at this facility. Back when they repaved this place in 2011, Marcus Ambrose was the first pole sitter on the new surface. So Magnussen scores the pole in the number 33 car here today. Austin Cindric qualifies at 21 for the Wood brothers in second position. Chase Briscoe will roll off in third spot, the number 53 car. Brad Keselowski will start from fourth. Matt DiBenedetto fifth. Martin Truex Jr. in sixth. Harrison Burton in seventh. Daniel Suarez in eighth position. Kyle Busch in ninth. And Tyler Ankrum rounding out the top 10. Other notable starters include the 34 of Michael McDowell will roll off from 13th position. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick will start down in 15th spot. The number 14 of Clint Boyer in his final full-time season will start from 16th position. The number 24 of William Byron, who is moving on to Haas Racing next season, will start from 18th spot. The playoff contender of Brandon Jones will start from 19th. The number 50 of Kaz Gralla from 21st position. The 71 of Josh Blickett will start from 22nd. The 48 of Alex Bowman will start from 25th spot. The number 9 of Chase Elliott, who won this race last season, will roll off in 26th position. The number 96 of Drew Herring will start down in 27th. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin will start from 28th position. The 37 of Eric Jones will start down in 30th. The number 42 of Justin Allgaier will start from 31st. The number 99 of Ryan Preece rolls off from 32nd position. The number 89 of Landon Castle will start from 33rd. The 22 of Joe Logano will start all the way down in 35th position. A very difficult qualifying session for that playoff contender. The number 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, the NASCAR Xfinity Series regular, will start from 37th position. The number 23 of Bubba Wallace will roll off from 38th. And finally, the number 12 of Ryan Blaney will start all the way down in 39th position. And we had a pretty large amount of cars fail to make the Consumers Energy 400 here from Michigan, including the number 3 of Austin Dillon. Did not make the show here at Michigan. That's going to be a big hit for that team who was already struggling. The number 7 of Corey LaJoie did not make the field. Neither did the number 38 of Anthony Alfredo. The 41 of Cole Custer missed the show, as well as the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The number 51 of Cody Ware missed out on qualifying for this race, as well as the number 62 of Noah Gragson for Brendan Gaughan. The number 66 of Timmy Hill failed to make the show, as well as the number 77 of Justin Haley, and finally, the number 78 of B.J. McLeod. And when the green flag flew for the Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway, believe it or not, it was neither of the front row starters to get the advantage through the first 2 corners. It was actually the 53 of Chase Briscoe. The third-place starter goes 3 wide down on the inside of the racetrack with a very bold move, making his way all the way to the top spot off the second corner. But watch that number 18 of Kyle Busch making a 4 wide move down on the inside. He started this race down in 10th position. And watch this move he puts on the field through turns 3 and 4. Makes another 4 wide move down to the inside. Carries that momentum through turns 3 and 4. And Kyle Busch takes away the top spot. Coming back to the start-finish line, Busch started in 10th and in 1 lap made his way to the top spot. Kyle Busch leads lap number 1. Here at Michigan, Michael McDowell taking over the second spot. And off of turn number 2 on lap 2, the 34 McDowell makes a 3 wide move as they make contact for the top spot. The 18 car tried to aggressively side draft the 34 McDowell, accidentally got into his right rear quarter panel, but they still run side by side, and through turns 3 and 4, the 34 of Michael McDowell will take away the top spot off of Kyle Busch. 88 of Brad Keselowski now trying to take over second position for Hendrick Motorsports as Harvick makes it 3 wide for second. Lap number 3, Matt DiBenedetto tries to go 4 wide for second spot. and that pushes the 18 of Kyle Busch all the way up into the outside wall. A little bit of right side contact for the number 18 machine as he drops back from that mistake. Michael McDowell currently patrolling the field here at the Michigan International Speedway. And coming into lap number 4, the field goes 5 wide on the front straightaway. Harrison Burton on the bottom. Then Martin Truex Jr., Daniel Suarez, Tyler Ankrum, and Kyle Busch. In fact, there was contact between Ankrum and Suarez, but fortunately Harrison Burton backed out, and they got it back down to a more reasonable 4 wide. Down the back straightaway on lap number 4, Chase Briscoe makes the move 3 wide for the top spot, putting Harvick in the middle and Michael McDowell all the way up on the top of the racetrack. And with help coming from the 57 of Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe is now your race leader here at Michigan. On lap number 5, the 57 of Larson gets to battling with the 53 of Briscoe for the top spot. That allows an opportunity for Matt DiBenedetto to gain a lot of momentum down the back straightaway as those two slowed each other down out front. 00 tried to make the look all the way down to the inside of the track, had to back off just a little bit, had to lift as compared to the higher lines, which stayed full throttle. Matt DiBenedetto managed to clear the outside lines coming off of turn 4, and DiBenedetto is now your race leader here at Michigan. Although on lap number 7, with a push coming from the 18 of Kyle Busch, the 57 of Kyle Larson shoots out into the race lead. As the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto gets to battling with the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And coming into lap number 8, the 57 of Larson got kicked up to the high side, and we have 2 JGR cars working together down on the bottom of the track. Kyle Busch getting pushed by Martin Truex Jr. Busch takes away the top spot on lap number 8. His teammate Truex takes over the second spot, a JGR 1-2 so far here at Michigan as the field's still going 4 wide. And have a look at this on lap number 10. We essentially get the big one on the front straightaway. We have a 4 wide battle between playoff contenders Brandon Jones, Kevin Harvick, and non-playoff contenders Tyler Ankrum and Kyle Larson. Harvick goes down the racetrack just a little bit. Ankrum moves up the racetrack a little bit, and they hook. 4 car turns the 26 of Ankrum up into the outside wall at a very high rate of speed. 26 car makes hard contact with the wall. 4 of Harvick gets a lot of damage out of this on the right side. The 53 of Briscoe has nowhere to go. Try and get slowed up in time. Gets hit in the rear end by the number 34 of Michael McDowell. Briscoe then finishes off the 4 of Harvick. Gets out of this with minimal damage. There's the 6 of Newman threading the needle. 00 of Daniel Suarez gets damage right there in a big accordion-style stack-up as the 33 shoved his way into the 55, then into the 95, and then the 00. As you can tell, around 10 cars piling in. Reddick up on the outside, 37 of Eric Jones, the most recent race winner. A lot of front-end damage on the 55 of Ross Chastain. 71 of Blicky gets damage out of this. The 17 of Buescher does a good job slowing up for it, as well as the playoff contender of Joey Logano, but quite a few damaged race cars and competitive ones involved in this accident, but especially a big hit for playoff contender Kevin Harvick, as well as the number 34 of Michael McDowell, who's racing for his championship hopes. And have a look at this onboard footage from the last place runner, the 48 of Alex Bowman. He was running at the tail end of the field on purpose to try and miss any potential large accidents, much like what Jimmy Johnson used to do at the super speedways in that very 48 car. But you see the accident happening right up in front of him. Bowman has to make a decision right here, makes a split-second decision down to the bottom, and the C's part for him between his teammate Chase Elliott and the 37 of Eric Jones. But Alex Bowman makes up a good 15 or 20 positions by avoiding that crash in turn 1. And racing back to the caution flag, the number 18 of Kyle Busch clears the 21 of Austin Cindric off the top side of the racetrack. And on lap number 11, all the cars that suffered damage of some sort through the big one come down pit road, including the 53 of Briscoe, 48 of Bowman, 8 of Tyler Reddick, 34 of Michael McDowell, and several others. And I should mention that this crash has officially ended the day. The number 55 team of Ross Chastain. Chastain is out of the Consumers Energy 400. Surprisingly, everyone else was able to continue. And so the green flag came back out on lap number 15. We had 2 drivers get exceptional restarts. This time it was the number 20 of Brandon Jones and the number 99 of Ryan Preece. Jones restarting down in third, Priest restarting all the way down in ninth position. Watch that number 99 car especially. The C's kind of part for him on this restart, but already you have the 20 of Brandon Jones trying to go side by side with his teammate of Kyle Busch, and there's the 99 of Ryan Priest trying to go 4 wide. Coming into turn number 3, making up an awful lot of track position. Also on the bottom of the track with him is the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Make up the inside lines. The 43 of Myatt Snyder gets up into the outside wall. But racing to the start-finish line, the 20 of Brandon Jones has almost made his way up into second, but the 18 of Kyle Busch still doing a great job controlling the lines. And as the field goes 5 wide down the back straightaway, the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto got side by side and was able to side draft the 18 car of Kyle Busch back towards him. And through turns 3 and 4, the number 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto has taken away the top spot off the number 18 of Kyle Busch. 2 Penske cars and 2 Joe Gibbs cars running in the top 4 right now. Lap number 17, the number 1 of Kurt Busch retires from the race due to damage that he suffered in the big one on lap number 10. On lap number 19, the 14 car of Clint Bowyer goes 3 wide for the top spot, forcing the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto all the way up to the top side. And Clint Bowyer takes away the top spot with this move through turns 1 and 2. Being pushed by the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. Down the back straightaway, Clint Bowyer moves up the track to block the number 20 of Brandon Jones, and the 24 and 12 cars hook up, allowing Ryan Blaney to clear the field through turns 3 and 4. The number 12 car now out front, and remember that he started all the way down in 39th position. White flag now waves in stage number 1. The field going 4 wide behind the race leader of Blaney. William Byron now resides in second position, a little bit too far back to try and make a charge towards him. However, the 12 car slid up the racetrack just a little bit. That's going to allow the 24 to try and build that run down the back straightaway. How about Ryan Priest, by the way, now running in third position. The field now heads through turns 3 and 4. 12 and 24 cars battling for the stage number 1 victory. Here comes Byron trying to make the look down to the inside, but he's not going to get a big enough run. Coming back to the start-finish line, Ryan Blaney will win stage number 1 here at Michigan. Ryan Blaney takes home the stage number 1 victory above the number 24 of William Byron, number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, number 20 of Brandon Jones, and the 14 of Clint Bowyer rounding out the top 5. And folks, we had trouble under caution. Now this was purely incidental, but you may recall at Rockingham Speedway, the 6 of Newman got into trouble under caution with Larson because he did not anticipate the 42 of Allgaier checking up as soon as he did. Well, this time, Allgaier moves up the racetrack just a little bit under the caution flag period. The 6 of Ryan Newman might move down the track just a little bit, and guess what? They hook. This time, the 42 of Allgaier hard up into the outside wall, as well as the 6 of Ryan Newman under caution. Right in front of pole sitter Jan Magnussen right there. Then the number 96 of Drew Herring gets turned around during the cool-down lap. The 40 of Quinn Half gets into it, and then here comes the playoff contender, Michael McDowell, just nowhere to go, and plows right into the back bumper, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. This was terminal damage to the number 34 of Michael McDowell. His day was done, and pretty much the focus for his championship run now all relies on the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, and he's practically going to have to win his way out of the round of 12. But a tough break for McDowell especially, getting wrecked out under caution here at Michigan. Lap 21, all the damaged cars from that incident under the caution flag period come down pit road. And so the green flag waves for stage number 2 on lap 25. And already, the 24 of William Byron was making a great advance down to the inside of the 12 of Ryan Blaney, trying to set up that run. As behind Byron, he has Blaney's teammate, the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. But right here through turns 1 and 2, now just coming up into high gear off the second corner, the 24 Byron makes the move to the inside of 12 of Ryan Blaney. Blaney, with very minimal drafting help up on the outside, now gets some help from the 14 of Clint Bowyer. But the 24 of William Byron takes away the top spot through turns 3 and 4. On lap number 27, the damaged car of Tyler Ankrum and the number 26 for GMS Racing comes down pit road to try and assess some of that damage that he got in the most recent caution flag period accident. On lap number 27, we nearly have trouble as the 18 of Kyle Busch gets aero tight as he was running in the dirty air of the number 11 of Denny Hamlin and makes contact with the outside wall. Pretty significant wall contact as he slides across the wall from turn 1 out to turn 2. 17 of Chris Buescher tries to slow up, makes a little bit of contact with the left rear, slides down into the 53 of Chase Briscoe, and Briscoe goes for a wild slide down the back straightaway, but gets the car corrected, and no caution flag, obviously, as surprisingly no one went around. And while that battle was ongoing, the 21 of Austin Cindric put a very great move on the race leader of William Byron. Makes that 3-wide move down to the inside, gets some help coming from the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., and pushes their way past and into the top spot. Austin Cindric, now the race leader here at Michigan in the Wood Brothers number 21. On lap number 29, the 42 of Justin Allgaier retires from the race due to the damage that he suffered in that collision with the number 6 of Ryan Newman. Lap 29, the 20 of Brandon Jones makes an aggressive 3-wide move to the inside of the race leader of Austin Cindric and the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And Brandon Jones takes away the top spot at the start-finish line. But then through turns 1 and 2, the 12 of Ryan Blaney tries to go 4-wide for the top spot, and it just gets a little bit too boxed in. The 20 of Brandon Jones had to lift off the throttle, and that allowed the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to clear the field for the top spot down the back straight. On lap number 32, Ryan Blaney gets a great push from the inside line. From the number 99 of Ryan Preece gets side-by-side with the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and takes away that top spot through turns 3 and 4. The stage number 1 winner is back out front. And on lap number 34, how about this? The number 89 of Landon Castle, running for Shepherd Racing Ventures, has made his way all the way up to 4th position. And Ryan Blaney in the number 12 car for Team Penske, still patrolling the field here in the Consumers Energy 400, playing the Pied Piper of today's race. And we had trouble on lap number 35, and in a big way. Coming off of turn number 2, the 88 of Brad Keselowski slides up the racetrack just a little bit and clips the left rear of the 99 of Ryan Preece. 88 car then gets clipped by the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, finishing off the 88 and sending him sliding down the back straightaway. A.J. Allmendinger then cuts the wheel back to the right to try and remerge with the field. Gets clipped by the 11 of Denny Hamlin, then sent spinning in front of the pack down the back straightaway. Gets hit by the 23 of Bubba Wallace right there. Wallace then slides up into the outside wall and gets caught by the 53 of Chase Briscoe. A lot of damage on that number 53 car. Then here comes Larson. Makes contact with the 16 and a big driver's side impact for A.J. Allmendinger from the 16 to the 61 of Christopher Bell, and it turns the 16 of Allmendinger upside down the back straightaway. Goes for a roll, lands back on the wheels, and fortunately AJ was uninjured in this accident, but a very scary one down the back straightaway here at Michigan. And here's the accident in real time, coming off of turn number 2. It just bottlenecks. Right there, 16 clips the 88, comes back in the way of traffic, gets clipped by the 11. Cars piling in at this point. 61 has nowhere to go, and a big impact from the 61 to the 16 car. Fortunately, no injuries in this one. And the number 12 of Ryan Blaney races back to the start-finish line as the race leader. Currently holds that top spot above the number 24 of William Byron. And guess what? We had even more incidental trouble under the caution flag during the cooldown, this time between playoff contending teammates at Joe Gibbs Racing. 20 goes down the racetrack, 19 goes up, they collide. And right there, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. sends his teammate Brandon Jones around and up into the outside wall. A big hit in the rear end for the number 20 of Brandon Jones. Then contact between him and the 21 of Austin Cindric and the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. Let's just say that Jones was not happy whatsoever with his teammate of Martin Truex Jr. following this one, but NASCAR ruled this contact incidental. But you could see also piling into the madness, we had the number 4 of Kevin Harvick make contact with Logano, Myatt Snyder, Kyle Larson, and Quinn Half. And right there, Larson gets a lot of damage, as well as the 40 of Quinn Half. I would expect some maybe different ruling and or word choice in the drivers' meetings from this point forward about how to properly slow down during the cool-down lap under caution, because we've been getting just a little bit too aggressive with how the cool-down laps go during these caution flag periods, and it's so far led to 2 crashes after the caution flag's already out here today at Michigan. And so following the multiple crashes that we had over the last 2 laps, the full list of cars out of the race following those incidents includes the number 57 of Kyle Larson, 61 of Christopher Bell, 53 of Chase Briscoe, 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, and 23 of Bubba Wallace. Quite a few cars knocked out of the race in just those few laps. And so we now have a 1-lap shootout for the stage number 2 victory. Field comes into the Geico restart zone, and there is the green flag for the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. And Blaney got a good jump on the restart above the number 24 of William Byron. With there only being 1 lap left in this stage, that jump might have just sealed the deal for him. As we got a battle now for 3rd spot. Truex on the inside of Landon Castle. Ryan Preece is going to side with Martin Truex Jr. down on the bottom. And now Ryan Blaney has to block both the inside and outside lines. He's doing a good job of it right now. Here comes Preece trying to go 3 wide for 2nd. That's a great opportunity for Ryan Blaney to try and extend that lead. They're not going to be able to get enough momentum built on him coming back to the start-finish line as the field goes into groups of 3 wide. Here comes Elliott trying to go 4 wide for 2nd. But Blaney will hold on and sweep the first 2 stages here at Michigan. Ryan Blaney will take home the stage number 2 victory now above, once again, the 24 of William Byron. They finished 1-2 in the first 2 stages so far. 19 of Martin Truex Jr. in 3rd, 99 of Ryan Preece in 4th, and 14 of Clint Boyer rounding out your top 5. And during the caution flag period following stage number 2, the only car that came to pit road was the 21 of Austin Cindric. He's going to try and pull off a very aggressive fuel strategy, try and go about 55 laps on 1 tank of fuel. He'll likely have to save somewhere in upwards of 4 laps on gas, which is very, very difficult, especially with a high downforce package. He essentially has to save 8 miles. Not exactly sure if that's doable, but he might be hoping for a caution flag. And the green flag flew on the final stage here at Michigan on lap number 45. And the 99 of Ryan Preece got a nearly perfect restart. Restarted this race down in 4th position. Got through the gears very well. Made his way all the way up to 2nd spot by the exit of turn number 2. And gets that run as the field heads up into high gear. Getting a push from the 14 of Clint Boyer. Inside line better formed up than the outside. And down the back straightaway, Ryan Preece takes away the top spot in the number 99 for Trackhouse Racing. Lap 46, the number 22 of Joey Logano pushes up the racetrack just a little bit behind the 48 of Bowman and just barely kisses the outside wall. Lap 46, the 12 of Ryan Blaney pulls a great move on the 99 of Ryan Preece. In fact, gets him a little bit loose by running the outside line, taking some of the air off the rear spoiler of the 99 car. And Ryan Blaney takes the top spot back on lap 47 as the field fans out now to 3 wide with Hamlin down on the bottom trying to go for 2nd. As the Roush cars are quickly making their way through the field, Chris Buescher and Ryan Newman both now into the top 10. On lap number 48, William Byron overdrives his entry to turn number 1 just a little bit and gets up into the outside wall and rides it from the apex of turns 1 and 2 all the way out to the exit of the 2nd corner and almost onto the back straightaway. As down the back straight, the 17 of Chris Buescher has taken over the 3rd spot, now challenging the number 9 of Chase Elliott for 2nd. In fact, Elliott makes a look up to the outside of the track. 17 follows him up the hill, side drafts him. And Chris Buescher now takes over 2nd as the 12 of Blaney still defends the racing lines. Lap 49, the 99 of Ryan Preece makes contact with the outside wall, and the 89 of Landon Castle follows him up there. 2 cars make contact with the outside wall, as now the 18 of Kyle Busch will take over the 3rd position, up towards the front of the field, running 3 wide for the 3rd spot, and now both Roush Fenway Fords are running in the top 5, with Buescher and Newman right there closing the gap up to the 12 of Blaney. On lap number 51, the 48 of Alex Bowman and the 22 of Joey Logano open up the pit window. They're going to try and pit extremely early, pray for no caution flags, and cycle out with quite a bit more track position than what they were running with by short pitting the field. One lap later on lap 52, the 99 of Ryan Preece hits pit road from the 12th position. On lap 53, both the 71 of Josh Blicky and the 00 of Daniel Suarez hit the pits as well. On lap number 54, quite a few of the lead lap cars decide to come down pit road, including race leader Ryan Blaney, but we have a very dicey moment. Lap car of Myatt Snyder right up in front of the 12 of Blaney. Blaney then tries to essentially commit to pit road, and he is way too early. Makes contact with the 43 of Myatt Snyder, and is very lucky not to get turned around right there out of the race lead. Needless to say, Myatt Snyder was not very happy with the race leader of Ryan Blaney following this one, but at least it did not lead to an accident, as on lap number 54, Blaney, Boyer, Buscher, Almirola, DiBenedetto, Casgrella, and a few others hit the pits. However, quite a few contenders opt to stay out, including Kyle Busch, who is now your race leader, above Chase Elliott and William Byron. Lap number 55, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and Martin Truex Jr. come down pit road. However, Byron, Newman, and Hamlin will stay out, as well as the 33 of Jan Magnussen. On lap 56, the 24 of Byron and the 11 of Denny Hamlin come down pit road. However, the number 6 of Ryan Newman will stay out, as well as the number 33 of Jan Magnussen. Because they had pitted much earlier on in this race due to crash damage, they can go actually about 20 laps farther on their field. So what they're hoping to do is have a caution flag come out some point in the middle of this strategy so that they can lap a tremendous amount of cars. Also on the same strategy includes names such as the 37 of Eric Jones, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, and the 96 of Drew Herring. And remember, the number 21 of Austin Cindric did not have to come down pit road during this cycle because he pitted during the caution between stage 2 and the beginning of this final stage. He's trying to save enough gas to make it to the finish of this race, but he does not have to pit. On lap number 58, the 33 of Jan Magnussen gets side by side with the number 6 of Ryan Newman battling for the top spot. And these two literally ran dead side by side for about 3 laps. In fact, they ran side by side long enough that the entire pack that had already come down pit road caught up to them, and it was the help from the inside line that finally allowed the 33 of Jan Magnussen to clear the 6 of Ryan Newman for the race lead. And remember that these race leaders of Magnussen and Newman would love to keep these cars behind them, because if we get a caution flag, they will be able to lap all the cars that they are currently running in front of. However, it's really just a matter of time at this point until the cars behind them roar their way past them, because already the 33 and 6 losing track position, they were already damaged before. That's why they're on this alternate fuel strategies, because they had to come down pit road for damage previously. So they're not in the tip-top shape that the rest of the competitors around them are in. So now Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Landon Cassill, all these competitors are back on the lead lap. And on lap 62, one of the competitors who was trying to run this strategy long come down pit road. That's Harrison Burton in the number 95, who obviously is severely damaged, but he pitted much earlier on in the race due to his damage and was able to stretch his fuel. We had a very scary accident on lap number 63 involving, in fact, the race leader and the driver who has swept both stages so far. There's all those lap cars trying to pass the leader as quickly as possible just in case we do get a caution flag. 4-wide move being made by Boyer, Buscher, Blaney, and Magnussen. As they pass race leader Magnussen, Buscher goes up the racetrack as Blaney goes down, and they hook. 17 gets carried up into the outside wall with a very hard impact. In fact, it turns the 17 of Buscher upside down, and right there is the 33 of Magnussen plowing into the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Quite a bit of front-end damage on the 33 as the 17 barrel rolls out of control, and his teammate Ryan Newman slides by to take away the race lead. But there goes the 17 rolling, coming down to turn number 1. Lands on top of the safer barrier right there, slides on his roof for a good majority of turns 1 and 2, and then actually gets hit by the number 12 of Blaney once again, who's trying to avoid him. Gets hit in the passenger side, turned over back onto the wheels, and then barrel rolls a few more times, ultimately landing on his wheels. But a big crash on the front straightaway for the number 17 of Chris Buescher. Fortunately, no injuries out of this one, However, a great day gone bad for Chris Buescher and as well for the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. This being really his first legitimate shot at a race victory this season, swept both stages, and is out of it on lap 63. And so here's the onboard of the number 17 of Chris Buescher. It's clipped right here in the middle of the front straightaway, hard into the outside wall, and turns over. Hits the safer barrier right there and slides on his roof. And gets hit right here by the 12 of Blaney. Big impact right there. Barrel rolling once again, and finally comes to rest on the wheels at turn number 1. And so the whole outlook of this race has just pretty much been turned upside down. No pun intended there for the 17 of Buescher. But with this caution flag coming in the middle of the 6 and 33 cars trying to stretch their fuel, there is now less than 15 cars on the lead lap. Ryan Newman is, in fact, your race leader above the 33, now damaged 33 of Jan Magnussen. But a very strange race so far here at Michigan in the Consumers Energy 400. And obviously, following that crash entering turn number 1, the 12 of Ryan Blaney and 17 of Chris Buescher are out of today's race. On lap 64, the cars that have yet to come down pit road come down this time by, including Ryan Newman, Jan Magnussen, Eric Jones, and Kevin Harvick, to name a few. We also had another car drop out of the race, that being the number 50 of Kaz Gralla. The playoff contender fell out of the race due to an engine failure, putting him into must-win territory coming into the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And because all the cars that opted to come down pit road under the green flag conditions stayed out, that means your top 3 in today's race is now William Byron, Clinton Boyer, and Landon Castle. But just remember, these race leaders are going to have 11 lap cars restarting right up in front of them, which is definitely going to make this restart exceptionally difficult. And so the green flag waves once again on lap number 68. You can see all the lap cars fanning out right up in front of the race leaders. Now only just 27 cars running in today's race as the 24 of Byron goes to the inside of the lap traffic of Drew Herring and Joey Logano. 14 of Boyer got a very good restart as well, right up to the back bumper of the 24 down the back straightaway. Field fanning out right there. Boyer trying to push the 24. 18 of Kyle Busch also making good gains down on the inside of the track. Here comes Clint Boyer, going to try to go to the inside of the 24 of William Byron. Lap cars up on the outside. That's going to force Byron wide. And Clint Boyer is now out front here at the Michigan International Speedway. Working with the lap car of Matt DiBenedetto, now makes a move to the inside as we got a battle for second. Kyle Busch on the inside of William Byron. On lap number 70, Clint Boyer wants to waste no more time with lap traffic. Makes a 4-wide move coming down to turn number 3 on Suarez, Preece, and Chase Elliott. Very bold move for the race leader to try and make. It semi-works out as he gets around at least the number 99 of Preece and gets the field a little bit less fanned out, back down to just 2 rows, running side by side. Now a bit of 3-wide racing, with Clint Boyer passed 3 of the lap cars with that move, and Kyle Busch got the hint as well, trying to go 4-wide around lap traffic to get a shot at the number 14 of Clint Boyer, and doesn't this sound familiar for this season? Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer running 1-2, but here comes Newman trying to go through the middle. He's on a little bit fresher rubber, even though that does not matter all that much here at Michigan. Now Newman and Kyle Busch running side by side have slowed down the pack. Here comes Keselowski going 4-wide for second. It looks like he might just make it happen. Keselowski has never won a NASCAR Cup Series race in his home state of Michigan, but he has won here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, trying to finally get that first Cup Series victory at his home track. Now battling side by side with Kyle Busch for second, as Clint Boyer still defends the lanes here in Michigan. Lap 72, Brad Keselowski pulls the slingshot on the number 14 of Clint Boyer. Gets side by side with him through turns 3 and 4. Gets the push down the front straightaway by the 89 of Landon Castle. And Brad Keselowski is out front here at the Michigan International Speedway. And this move really turned some heads. On lap number 73, Landon Castle makes the move to the inside of the 88 of Brad Keselowski, and Castle, for Shepherd Racing Ventures, takes away the top spot down the back straightaway. A very impressive run going on so far for Landon Castle in that 89 Cheerwine Chevrolet. as Ryan Preece tries to go 4 wide beneath 2 of the lead lap cars of Kyle Busch and Clinton Boyer, as Boyer will take over the 3rd spot off the top. On lap number 75, Clinton Boyer makes a hole through the middle of Landon Castle and the lap car of Chase Elliott. And with this aggressive movement, with a little bit of help actually coming from the 18 of Kyle Busch, Clinton Boyer takes away the race lead on lap number 75 through the middle as the 18 of Kyle Busch tries to go 4 wide into turn number 3. Can't quite make it happen as he has to back out through 3 and 4, still running 3 wide for the top spot, but Boyer is going to take it off of turn 4. And on lap number 75, the 43 of Myatt Snyder retires from the Consumers Energy 400 for engine trouble. On lap number 76, Brad Keselowski gets a great push from the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and takes away that top spot off the 14 of Boyer coming into turn number 3. The 14th place car of Tyler Reddick is having pretty severe trouble with the engine right now. They believe that they are down a cylinder. Listen to that car as it passes. This doesn't sound very crisp, does it? Now, they definitely cannot be running on all 8 cylinders at the moment, but they're still trying to hang on to that 14th running position, and they're just barely within making minimum speed. And on lap number 77, the 14 car of Clint Boyer begins to abruptly slow down through turns 3 and 4. The problem on the 14 car, they're having a fuel pickup issue. The car is essentially cutting out as it runs off of turn number 4, almost like it's running out of gas, even though it's just the pickup not fully picking up that gasoline. Tough break for Clint Boyer. They're going to have to come down pit road and try to address that problem. Another great race for Boyer going south late in the going. And old rivals from the beginning of the year, Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin battle for the top spot on lap number 78. And with a JGR tandem down on the inside of the racetrack, Denny Hamlin takes away the top spot, coming off of turn number 4. However, the 24 Byron drives his way all the way down to the apron, gets some help coming from the 6 of Ryan Newman. And Byron trying to take away the top spot with a 3-wide pass through turns 1 and 2. William Byron is going to take away the top spot down the back straightaway in the number 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Still searching for his first career Cup Series victory. Now through 3 and 4. The 88 of Keselowski oversteps turn number 3, gets up into the outside wall. Keselowski loses a lot of momentum from that mistake through 3 and 4. Contact with the wall drops him outside the top 5. And right here on lap number 80, the number 9 of Chase Elliott arrow pushes coming off of turn number 4 behind the 18 of Kyle Busch and slaps the outside wall with pretty significant right side contact. And on lap number 80, the 24 of William Byron catches the lap car of Tyler Reddick at a very inopportune time, slows him up very much coming into turn number 3, and allows the number 11 of Denny Hamlin to shoot by down on the inside. Hamlin, now your race leader. Lap car of Suarez now hounding the 11, and the 6 of Newman takes over the 2nd spot. As now the 18 getting held up by the 8 of Reddick, as the 24 of Byron has made the move up to the outside. On lap 81, the 6 of Ryan Newman gets to drafting with the 00 of Daniel Suarez, makes the move on Hamlin through turns 3 and 4, and Ryan Newman is now your race leader here at Michigan. On lap number 83, the 88 of Brad Keselowski makes the move to the inside. The 6 of Ryan Newman takes away the top spot. But watch these 2 Joe Gibbs Racing cars on the inside. The 18 of Kyle Busch and the 11 of Denny Hamlin hook up. And those 2 push their way past the number 88 of Brad Keselowski. Joe Gibbs Racing assumes the top 2 positions here at Michigan. Kyle Busch now your race leader, as the number 11 of Denny Hamlin will take over the 2nd spot. And it was pretty smooth sailing for Kyle Busch out front. That is until lap number 86. Kyle runs up on the lap cars of Quinn Houff, Harrison Burton, and Brandon Jones. And that forces him into a bit of a box down the front straightaway. Tries to make the move to the middle, gets boxed in. Here comes the 24 of Byron down to the inside, trying to go 3 wide. And then his teammate, Keselowski, trying to go 4 wide for the top spot into turn number 1. 4 wide racing through turns 1 and 2. In now 2 rows. Down the back straightaway, the 6 of Ryan Newman actually makes it 5 wide including lap traffic. But the number 18 of Kyle Busch still holds on to that top spot. 24 of William Byron now running in second. 88 of Keselowski in third. It's two HMS cars. They could gang up on the number 18 of Kyle Busch as the field is still running 5 wide down the front stretch. On lap number 89, the 24 of William Byron makes the move to the inside, the 18 of Kyle Busch, and he gets help from his teammate Chase Elliott down on the bottom. HMS cars push their way past the number 18 of Kyle Busch. William Byron now out front here at Michigan in the closing laps. And coming up on 10 laps to go, the lap car of Josh Bilicki is right up in front of the race leaders. Byron makes a move to the outside, easily gets around the 71, as well as Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, but the rest of the cars behind them get boxed in. Here comes Truex trying to go 3 wide to the bottom. Now part of a 4 wide battle as the pack gets boxed in just a little bit by the 71. Pretty much the top 3 cars run away with it, as it's now the 24 of Byron battling alongside his teammate Brad Keselowski at Hendrick Motorsports with now just 10 laps to go. As I mentioned before, Keselowski trying to win for the first time in his home state of Michigan, battling alongside his teammate William Byron. On lap number 92, the 24 of Byron has cleared the 88 of Brad Keselowski, and including the lap car of Chase Elliott, we now have a Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3, as these cars could try to work together and gap the rest of the field. At least that'd be my strategy at the moment. However, on lap number 94, the 18 car of Kyle Busch is building great momentum with the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Elliott not necessarily helping out any of his teammates at the moment. And Kyle Busch gets to the inside of the 24 of William Byron. And Kyle Busch is going to take away the top spot down the back straightaway. And with just 6 laps to go, the field runs up on the number 8 car of Tyler Reddick once again. Has to make some tough decisions about how to navigate this lap traffic. Kyle Busch jumps up to the top of the track. The lap cars of Truex and Eric Almirola make their way by on the inside. Here comes the 11 of Denny Hamlin back up into the mix. Hamlin gets around the 88 of Brad Keselowski using the lap car to his advantage and takes away the second spot. And then with 5 laps to go, here comes the 11 of Denny Hamlin getting side by side with his teammate Kyle Busch for the top spot and an advancement into the round of 8. These two battling side by side, nearly making contact with each other. But watch this move down the back straightaway by the 24 of William Byron. Gets a big run off the 99, goes 4 wide onto the apron. And he commits to this low corner entry. He does not lift whatsoever through turns 3 and 4. The 11 of Hamlin backed off, and so now Byron is going side by side with Kyle Busch for the top spot. At the line, it was very close, but Kyle Busch led that lap. Joe Gibbs' cars trying to push their way past the 24 up on the outside. An incredible battle in the closing laps here at Michigan. Lap cars getting racy with each other that forces Kyle Busch to lift off the throttle. Here comes Byron to the inside, trying to get past the lap traffic as quickly as possible. There's contact between Elliott and Almirola. Byron trying to go 4 wide once again. It worked once. Can it work a second time? He at least stays even with the number 9 of Chase Elliott. And they crash coming off of turn number 4. Hamlin, Keselowski, Kyle Busch involved. Caution flag will wave. And we are going to go into a green, white checkered finish. And that changes absolutely everything about this race. Some of the fastest contenders in today's event just got taken out in a closing accident. I think that William Byron making all these aggressive 4 wide moves caught the Gibbs cars by surprise just a little bit and kind of forced Denny Hamlin into a mistake right here, running in a very, very compact space right here with 4 cars. Hamlin running right in the middle there with the 99 of Ryan Preece, and 2 cars just try to fill the same hole. The 11 of Denny Hamlin makes contact with the right rear of the 99 of Ryan Preece, turning him straight up into his teammate, Kyle Busch. Big impact up into the outside wall for the 11 and 18. 88 of Keselowski gets collected into this. Also, the 6 of Ryan Newman makes contact with the 11 car right there. A lot of front-end damage on the 18 of Kyle Busch. A tough break right there. And here comes the 8 of Reddick. Oh, just nowhere to go. And Reddick just slams right into the passenger side of the number 99 of Ryan Preece. A very large accident near the end of this one here in Michigan. Fortunately, no injuries out of this one. But that has eliminated the number 18 car of Kyle Busch's chances of winning today's race. And he came so close, battling for the race lead in the closing laps. But we are going to go into a green, white checkered finish as if this race wasn't crazy enough. And here's just a look at the wreck in real time. Byron pulls off this incredible pass. Hamlin clips the 99 up into his teammate Kyle Busch, hard into the outside wall. 88 of Keselowski gets carried into it, and the 6 of Newman. And right there is Reddick. Nowhere to go, and a large crash coming off of turn number 4 on lap 97. And take a look at who has made his way up to second. It's the 89 of Landon Castle taking over that second spot. He has a legitimate chance at winning this. And also the 10 of Eric Almirola, 19 of Martin Truex Jr., and 9 of Chase Elliott are back on the lead lap for outracing the race leader of William Byron. And so we have 2 cars out of the race following that big pileup, those being the 99 of Ryan Preece and the number 8 of Tyler Reddick. Believe it or not, the number 18 team of Kyle Busch, they're going to try and keep him on the racetrack for this green-white checkered finish and take home what I would believe would be a 13th place finish, which would be a relatively decent point day if they can keep that 18 car running for just about 3 more laps. And so we have a green-white checkered finish on our hands here at Michigan. Pretty much what all the fans here were waiting for. 1 attempt, 2 laps to get it done. Byron leads the field into the Geico restart zone, and there is the green flag for the green-white checkered here at Michigan. The 24 Byron got a very good restart right there. Lap car of Daniel Suarez separates him from the second-place runner of Landon Castle. Here comes Castle, though, making the move to the inside of Suarez. They go side by side, 89 trying to get up to the quarter panel with 24 Byron. Can't quite do it as Byron blocks the lane down the back straightaway, now moves up the hill to block the outside. Down on the inside, you got the number 14 of Clint Boyer making up some time. He's a few laps down from that fuel pickup issue. The 6 of Newman comes down pit road for his damage as the white flag now waves. Byron still out front, and the lap cars of Suarez and DiBenedetto trying to work their way around Landon Castle. Here comes the damaged number 88 of Brad Keselowski. He's raced his way up to third, and Hamlin actually is still holding on to the 4th position. Actually, he's going to lose 4th right there to Eric Jones down the back straightaway. Byron defending the lines as the 89 of Landon Castle can't quite get the momentum that he needs from the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. Through turns 3 and 4 goes Byron, and he's waited more than 4 years for this moment. Onto the front straightaway. William Byron finally claims his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory at the Michigan International Speedway. And Byron has finally done it. He's come so close on so many occasions. Kansas in 2019, lost that race on fuel mileage to Quinn Houff. And even Kansas earlier this season had the dominant car, led the most laps, got taken out in the late race crash. Byron finally puts it all together. Even though he won't be back in the 24 car next year, he's finally pulled it off and will park 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports in Victory Lane, the second ever winner in the number 24 car in NASCAR Cup Series history, joining the likes of Jeff Gordon. Have a look at this coming back to the line. The 89 car of Landon Castle got very, very loose through turns 3 and 4, backed the field up just a little bit, and actually the 88 of Brad Keselowski beat him back to the start-finish line, making this a 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports here at Michigan. What a day for HMS, finally scoring that victory for William Byron, and that means that all 4 of their cars have scored a victory this season. Chase Elliott with 2 wins at Nashville and Loudon on the road course, Keselowski at Darlington, Bowman at Richmond, and now Byron at Michigan. And how about this? The number 33 of Jan Magnussen actually got 6th position After all he had been through in this race and being involved in that big crash with Chris Buescher, who turned over entering turn number 1, a very respectable finish for the pole sitter here today. Almost got that 5th spot if he could have edged out the 11 of Denny Hamlin. And also, this was a classic Kevin Harvick day, wasn't it? Get involved in a crash, be almost silent all day long, and finish in 7th. I mean, an absolutely perfect day for Kevin Harvick, completely silent, and he brings home a very good points day. And so William Byron has finally brought this number 24 car back to victory lane where it belongs. He led 19 laps in today's race and played that green-white checkered perfectly. His teammate Brad Keselowski brought it home in 2nd spot, a Hendrick Motorsports 1-2 finish. But how about this finish for Landon Castle? And the number 89 for Shepherd Racing Ventures, a 3rd-place finish, is really a lot like a win for this organization. It's a great run for Castle and company. Eric Jones once again gets a very consistent finish in the 37 for JTG Daugherty Racing. Brings that 37 car home in 4th spot. Denny Hamlin rounds out your top 5. Pole sitter Jan Magnussen brought it home in 6th position. Kevin Harvick in 7th. Eric Almirola raced his way all the way up to 8th position. Chase Elliott in 9th. And Martin Truex Jr. rounding out the top 10. And both Ryan Newman and Kyle Busch pitted on the last lap, did all that damage that they had, but they actually finished in 12th and 13th, respectively, still on the lead lap. And by the way, that very aggressive call to come down pit road after the end of stage number 2 for Austin Cindric, well, it actually paid off as that team brought it home in 11th position, and they would not have been able to finish in 11th if they would not have gotten that fuel stop at the end of stage number 2 and were able to go off strategy and take advantage of that caution flag that fell when the 17 of Buescher turned over. And so following today's Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan, the number 00 of Daniel Suarez now sets 54 points above the cutoff line. That is more than a full race. So Daniel Suarez has locked himself in to the round of 8. He does not have to worry whatsoever about the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And Chase Elliott is pretty close to being all the way pointed his way in as well. Just about 1 point off, but Elliott sets plus 45, an extremely comfortable margin above the cut line. Kyle Busch sets 34 points above. That's pretty comfortable as well. Kevin Harvick sets plus 32. Denny Hamlin plus 24. Brandon Jones plus 23. And Martin Truex Jr. plus 20. Then we get into the danger zone. The regular season champion, who has still yet to win a race this year, plus 7 above the cutoff line. Then Alex Bowman just minus 7. Kaz Grala minus 11. Chase Briscoe minus 16, and Michael McDowell at minus 31. So McDowell will have to win his way in to the round of 8 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And just for the fun of it, here's the look at the point standings among those who were already either eliminated from the playoffs or did not make the playoffs whatsoever. Matt Benedetto is currently the highest running competitor who has already been eliminated from the playoffs, sets 13th in points. Kyle Larson 14th, Justin Allgaier 15th, and Josh Bilicki all the way down in 16th position. He's your Daytona 500 champion. And still the highest driver in point standings who did not make the playoffs whatsoever, that is Clint Boyer, who sets 17th in points, then Eric Jones in 18th spot. Brad Keselowski picked up 3 spots in points following his runner-up here at Michigan. He moves up to the 19th position in the point standings, and Ross Chastain rounds out the top 20. And so now we move on to the final race of the round of 12, the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And in the race analysis for the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, this race will take place over the course of 55 laps around this extremely technical road course, with stage number 1 ending on lap 18 and stage 2 coming to its conclusion on lap number 36. So the stage has practically split the race up into perfect thirds. And folks, this is wet weather racing at its finest. This racetrack is absolutely saturated. The wet weather tires is what is going to be used throughout the entirety of today's race. It's going to be very interesting to see which driver can rise to the top even with these adverse surface conditions here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And tire wear is relatively minimal in full wet weather conditions. Now, wet weather tires wear extremely quickly in dry conditions, but this racetrack is completely saturated due to consistent rain over the last 2 days. It's not bad enough to where it's like a monsoon where we can't race, but it is bad enough to where the racetrack's saturated, where we do have to use rain tires, and we most likely will be using them over the course of the entire 55 laps. But because this racetrack is as wet as it is, the tire wear is very, very minimal. And because of the adverse surface conditions and as well this racetrack just being naturally tough on competitors, this is definitely a playoff wild card. And it's definitely going to make quite a few crew chiefs down in pit lane will feel like ripping their hair out by the time they get to the end of this race, because it's going to be an emotional roller coaster throughout the whole thing for all of these teams. And playing directly into that is the fact that you have to stay out of trouble to have a chance at the victory here at the Roval. Most of these drivers do not have very much experience with rain racing. Sure, we had the Cup Series race in the rain earlier this season, which was race number 2 on the year at Palm Beach International Raceway. And in that race, we had an awful lot of accidents. Hopefully these drivers have learned a thing or two from that experience coming into this race, but still, your main goal here today is to stay out of trouble and have a car to at least finish the race with. I truly believe if you'll finish this race with no damage, you'll probably be somewhere within the top 10. And because tire wear is very minimal in these full wet weather conditions, track position is very, very critical. Once you can get a spot, you can most likely keep it, as long as you keep your race car on track, that is. And there are numerous road course ringers in today's event. Not only is there the road course ringers who would typically show up, such as Jack Hawksworth and AJ Allmendinger, but this is a double-header weekend with the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, so we have quite a few ringers out of that division, such as Nick Tandy, running the number 99 for Trackhouse Racing this weekend, the Camping World Chevrolet. Catherine Legg is going to be running the number 51 for Rick Ware Racing. Jordan Taylor will run the number 25 for GMS Racing, their second car in a road course ringer role. And finally, the number 01 of Kevin Magnuson for Chip Ganassi Racing, joining his father Jan in a NASCAR Cup Series race here today at Charlotte. Jan obviously still running the number 33 for Starcom Speed Station, and his son, the number 01 McDonald Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. And I've said it numerous times, but I'll say it once again. If you're a driver such as Michael McDowell and you're well outside of 30 points from being able to make the round of 8, win and you are in. All you have to do is you got to score the victory here today in the Bank of America Roval 400, and all your worries disappear for at least this afternoon. Obviously, your whole mindset has to get ready for the round of 8 and continuing your charge towards a championship. But all of these 12 drivers who are still chasing that title here today are going to be gunning after the race victory to try and continue their quest for that Cup Series championship, because at the end of today's race, we will have 4 drivers who will lose their opportunity to race for a championship. NASCAR invited 6 drivers to participate in multi-car next-gen testing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. This time in wet weather conditions on obviously Goodyear's new wet weather tires for the next-gen car. The 6 drivers invited to test include the number 34 of Michael McDowell, 23 of Bubba Wallace, 33 of Jan Magnuson, 16 of AJ Allmendinger, 96 of Drew Herring, and 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Quite a bit of road course racing prowess in this test, as well as the 2 drivers of the Toyota driver rotation that we've been seeing in these tests, because they obviously don't have enough drivers to supply 2 unique drivers to each individual test. However, all 6 drivers notice that this car is a lot more controllable in the wet as compared to the current Generation 6 car. This thing has independent rear suspension. It also has slightly wider tires. It has overall more mechanical grip than the Generation 6 car has. A little bit less downforce, as we mentioned before, because that reduction in side force, but that doesn't help you very much at a road course anyway. You want your car to be very neutral, which is why a symmetrical body is actually, in a way, the preferred thing at a road course, because it doesn't handle good in one direction, bad in another. So it's a good compromise having a symmetrical car on a road course, and this thing handles pretty well even in wet weather conditions. So all 6 drivers were impressed with the way this next-gen car handled here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval in the full wet weather conditions. It'll be very exciting to see what this thing can do next season when put into practice on road courses. And in the starting lineup, Chase Briscoe has put the number 53 RCA Chevrolet on the pole spot here at the Charlotte Roval, and he did it by nearly 0.4 of a second. A very blistering lap time in qualifying. Kyle Larson put the number 57 car in second spot. Anthony Alfredo, the Sonoma race winner, will start from third. Jack Hawksworth rolls off from 4th position. Daniel Suarez from 5th. Tyler Reddick will start from 6th position. Matt Benedetto 7th. Jan Magnuson in 8th position. Chase Elliott in 9th. And Ryan Blaney rounding out your top 10. Other notable starters include A.J. Allmendinger rolling off from 11th position, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. from 12th, the 18 of Kyle Busch from 13th spot, the 25 of Jordan Taylor from 15th, the 20 of Brandon Jones from 16th position, the 71 of Josh Blicky will start from 17th, the number 40 of Quinn Half will start down in 19th position, the number 20 of Catherine Legg will start from 21st, the number 01 of Kevin Magnuson will start from 22nd position, the number 34 of Michael McDowell, who is pretty much in must-win territory, will start from 23rd spot, the number 99 of Nick Tandy in his NASCAR Cup Series debut will start from 24th. The number 21 of Austin Cindric will start from 25th position. The 22 of Joey Logano will start from 26th. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick rolls off from 27th position. The number 23 of Bubba Wallace will start from 28th. The number 77 of Justin Haley will roll off from 29th position. The number 48 of Alex Bowman will start down in 30th. The number 61 of Christopher Bell will start from 31st. The number 96 of Drew Herring, who won a stage here last season, will start from 32nd. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin will start down in 36th position. The number 37 of Eric Jones down in 39th spot. The number 42 of Justin Allgaier will start down in 40th. And finally, the number 55 of Ross Chastain brings up the rear in 41st position. And the full list of drivers who did not make the show for today's Bank of America Roval 400 include the number 14 of Clint Boyer. Missed the show in qualifying, essentially got caught out by the wet weather conditions. Bad break right there for Boyer in his final full-time season. But how about this? The 24 of William Byron missed the show. And he won just last week at Michigan. His first career Cup Series victory comes here to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval and flat out misses the field in qualifying. Also, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum did not make the show, while his teammate Jordan Taylor actually qualified in 15th. All that road racing experience made the difference there. The 43 of Myatt Snyder did not make the race as well. The 52 of Cody Ware missed out on the Bank of America Roval 400. The 66 of Timmy Hill did not make the show. The 78 of BJ McLeod missed it. And finally, the 88 of Brad Keselowski actually failed to qualify for this race as well, meaning that the top two finishers from Michigan come here to the Roval and don't even make the race. And the final car that did not make the show for today's Bank of America Roval 400 is the number 95 of Harrison Burton for Levine Family Racing. And so when the green flag waved for the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, number 53 of Chase Briscoe got the advantage down through turns 1 and 2 as the 5 runs wide and almost into the outside wall, and the 8 of Reddick slides coming off of turn number 2 in the wet weather conditions. At the tail end of the field, there was already trouble between playoff contenders. Michael McDowell makes contact with the 48 of Alex Bowman, actually turning him almost straight into that inside wall, back up into the 21 of Austin Cindric. There was contact right there between those two, and farther back, the 55 of Chastain clips the 42 of Justin Allgaier, but no caution flag. Then through turns 5 and 6, the 53 of Briscoe battles alongside the 57 of Kyle Larson, and Briscoe gets the advantage coming into turn 7. And out towards the back of the field, Denny Hamlin flat out missed turn number 6, runs right into the mud. Way off course, does a great job not getting that car stuck. And Joey Logano also got turned around between turn 7 and turn 8. Right there, runs 3 wide, pushes up into the 23 of Bubba Wallace, up into the outside wall. Logano gets sent around, but surprisingly, still no caution flag. On lap number 2, the 38 of Anthony Alfredo makes his way around. The 57 of Kyle Larson taking over second position. On lap number 2, some damaged cars hit pit road under green, including Austin Cindric, 55 of Chastain, and 37 of Eric Jones. And we have a battle on lap number 2 among 3 IMSA competitors. Nick Tandy, Jordan Taylor, and Catherine Legg running 3 wide, all 3 in their stock car debut in the Cup Series. Coming off of turn number 7, they just squeeze up into the outside wall as the 40 of Half catches the wall. 99 of Tandy made contact with the 40 and sends the 51 of Catherine Legg around. Not too much damage, and still no caution flag. On lap number 3, coming out of turn number 1, the 00 of Daniel Suarez running in 8th position, turns the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto pretty hard into the inside wall. Lots of front end and now right side damage on the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, as you saw the 20 of Brandon Jones clip the wall by accident as well, sliding in the water. And on lap number 3, Matt DiBenedetto hits pit road for the damage that he suffered in turn number 1. And we have even more trouble on lap number 4. Eric Almirola makes a 3-wide move to the inside of Bubba Wallace, Drew Herring, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming into turn number 1. They're all sliding through the standing water right there on entry. Bubba clips the 96 of Drew Herring. Up into the outside wall goes the 23. They're going 4 wide right there for a moment. Then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Bubba Wallace squeeze up into the outside wall. Herring then turns around the 23 completely. This actually does bring out the first caution flag of the day, as the spin happened right up in front of the field, and there was about, actually 4 cars involved in that one. On lap number 5, a lot of the back half of the field opts to come down pit road, including those who suffered damage over the first run, such as Alex Bowman, Brandon Jones, who suffered some damage, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as well, but quite a few competitors coming down pit road just for simple adjustments. On lap number 6, the number 40 car of Quinn Half actually pits with the pace car as the rest of the field gets ready to take the green. And so the green flag flies once again on lap number 7. And this time, Denny Hamlin got put into a Team Penske sandwich. You see sliding through turns 5 and 6 right there, banging off the left side. That number 11 car bouncing right there in between both the 12 and 2 of Matt DiBenedetto and Ryan Blaney. Left and right side damage on the number 11 machine right there. Then right side damage on the 2 and left side damage on the 12. Very interesting situation right there as Hamlin just about got himself in trouble. DiBenedetto clears this mess, but now here comes Cindric making it 3 wide on Hamlin. Bit of a risky maneuver being made right there, but Cindric actually outbraked the number 11 of Denny Hamlin and made the move stick, passing 2 cars in the back straightaway chicane. After making a little bit of wall contact after the restart, on lap number 8, the 25 of Jordan Taylor comes down pit road, as well as the damaged number 96 of Drew Herring. And so here's what happened to Herring. He actually gets clipped on the restart out of turn number 1 by the 01 of Kevin Magnuson, turned hard into the inside wall right there, gets the car corrected, but a lot of damage on that number 96 and quite a bit of damage on Magnuson's car in his Cup Series debut. Not quite going the way he wanted. However, his father runs in 4th position. And speaking of Jan Magnuson, he actually outbrakes the number 57 of Kyle Larson into the back straightaway chicane and gets hit in the rear end by the number 5 of Jack Hawksworth. Magnuson makes the move stick and takes over 3rd spot. And right here on lap number 8, Michael McDowell makes contact with the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., sends Stenhouse wide. And here he actually cuts the front straightaway chicane and gets black flagged by NASCAR for that move. Stenhouse now has to serve a stop-and-go penalty for that maneuver. Lap number 8, through turns 1 and 2 of the oval, the 71 of Josh Bilicki makes a very aggressive 3-wide move to the inside of Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin and makes the move stick, going into the back straightaway chicane. And on lap number 9, we have a very scary crash among 2 Stewart-Haas Racing teammates. Coming off of turn number 2 of the oval, the highest speed portion of the racetrack, the number 10 car of Eric Almirola clips the 41 of Cole Custer and sends him straight down into those brand new tire barriers on the inside of the chicane. He tries to get the 41 car corrected and slams dead into them almost straight. And the impact actually turns the 41 of Cole Custer upside down and lands back on his wheels on top of the tire barrier. Fortunately, no injuries in this one, but a very big impact. And here's the impact in real time. Right there, gets clipped by the 10 car, sent to the inside, just could not catch it in time and slams that tire barrier, turning over on the back straightaway. And so this crash has brought us under the caution flag once again. On lap number 10, damaged cars come down pit road once again, such as Brandon Jones, Joey Logano, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And on lap 11, both Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Magnuson actually come down pit road with the pace car. And pitting with the pace car is really not that big of a deal at this racetrack, because you can easily get full service without dropping 1 lap down as the green flag comes back out on lap number 12. And right after the restart, the 00 of Daniel Suarez makes contact with the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, hard into the inside wall for both cars. But A.J. gets the car corrected, and no caution flag. And coming up to turns 5 and 6, the 38 of Anthony Alfredo battles the 53 of Chase Briscoe for the top spot. Briscoe's teammate Ian Magnuson runs in line right behind him. Right there, the 38 car slides wide and up onto the extremely slick paint. Paint's already slick, but once it gets wet, it's nearly undrivable, and that allows the 53 of Chase Briscoe to drive away. We have a gaggle of playoff contenders racing each other coming off of turn number 8, and this incident actually does bring out a caution flag. You have Kyle Busch clearing the 11 and 48 cars right there. 34, McDowell tries to force his nose right in there and gets crowded out by the 11 of Hamlin, and McDowell was just not having it. Actually turns around the number 11 of Denny Hamlin coming into turn number 1 of the oval, and the caution flag waves as the number 11 car almost stopped in the middle of the banking. On lap 13, once again, we have damaged cars hit the pits, such as A.J. Allmendinger, Josh Bilicki, and Kyle Busch. And so the green flag waves once again on lap number 15. Just a few laps to go for the end of stage number 1. And this time, it's Daniel Suarez himself getting clipped. Coming off of turn number 1, gets tapped in the left rear by the 5 of Jack Hawksworth. A very straight angle into the inside wall, gets that car corrected, but then the 5 slides up into the wall and gets hit by the 17 and 9. No caution flag, but still quite a bit of damage on both the 00 and the 5 cars. And the caution flag waves out back as the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger just sends the 01 of Kevin Magnuson around down the short chute that connects turns 4 and 5. And also Michael McDowell slid the 34 car off into the paint, then into the mud. Does a great job keeping that car off of the tire barriers and not getting the thing stuck. But McDowell gets out of the mud and back onto the racing surface. A very tough moment right there for Michael McDowell, losing an awful lot of track position, but it could have been a whole lot worse. And how about this? Nick Tandy races back to the start-finish line in 6th position for Trackhouse Racing. Racing back to the caution flag. Hawksworth actually gets into the 00 of Suarez for a second time. Turns him to the left, forces Suarez to overcorrect right in the mud, and actually spins the 00 car out. But also the 5 of Hawksworth completely misses the chicane, which forces him to serve a black flag by NASCAR. Not for sending the 00 car around twice, but actually for cutting the chicane. But I can tell you this right now, Daniel Suarez is furious with the driver of the number 5 car after essentially wrecking him twice in one lap. Fortunately for Suarez, he's locked into the next round by points, and this is the final time this season that Hawksworth and Suarez are going to race each other. But I can tell you, Daniel is certainly not happy about this. And so the number 00 of Daniel Suarez is suffering from overheating problems. They are still on pit road, likely to drop at least one lap down. Remember, they have pointed their way into the round of 8, so really no concerns there, but still you'd like to get a better performance than what's going on so far for that 00 team. And so we are going to have a one-lap shootout for stage number 1 as the lead lap car of Christopher Bell pits with the pace car, and there is the green flag for the 53 of Chase Briscoe. The pole sitter, who has led every lap so far, gets down to turn number 1 with a pretty good advantage as the 33 of Magnuson touches the outside wall. And we got an all-out battle for second spot, which has allowed the 53 car of Briscoe to run away with this race lead. But here comes Larson on the inside of Anthony Alfredo. Going for that second position. Looks like Larson's going to get the power down coming off of that back straightaway chicane. And Larson takes over the second spot. Magnuson now up into 4th. And racing through the final 2 corners of the oval. Here comes the 53 car into the front straightaway chicane, already more than 1 second above the 57 of Kyle Larson. And your pole sitter, Chase Briscoe, will win stage number 1 in the Bank of America Roval 400. Chase Briscoe is your stage number 1 winner. Kyle Larson in 2nd position, 38 of Anthony Alfredo in 3rd, 33 of Ian Magnuson in 4th position, and the 8 of Tyler Reddick in 5th. And on lap number 19, the entirety of the lead lap field gets led down pit road by the number 53 of Chase Briscoe, with the exception of 3 cars that opt to stay out because they have already pitted at least once. The 21 of Austin Cindric, 37 of Eric Jones, and 61 of Christopher Bell are now your top 3. And so I mentioned before that tire wear does not matter very much in these full wet conditions. That's why we've had quite a few drivers go for fuel-only stops during this pit cycle, including the 55 of Chastain, 96 of Drew Herring, and 23 of Bubba Wallace, who are now well within the top 10 because they did not take tires. And so the third place runner of Christopher Bell actually pits with the pace car as Austin Cindric takes the green flag for stage number 2. Cindric leads the field off into turn number 1 above Eric Jones. Then the lap car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who is Jones's teammate. We have a battle for the third position. Teammates of Chase Briscoe and Ross Chastain going after the spot. And coming into turn number 5, the 55 of Chastain slides it all the way onto the paint, trying to outrace his teammate, who's currently on colder tires, albeit fresher. And the number 55 of Ross Chastain gets the third spot coming out of turn number 8. And watch this impact for the number 10 car of Eric Almirola. The field's going 3 wide right there. The 12 of Blaney pushes up into the 23 of Bubba Wallace. More accurately, actually slides up into the 23, then slides back down into the 10 of Almirola, and it's just mud right there. So Almirola cannot get this car corrected. He's in a free slide right here, straight into that tire barrier and out of the Bank of America Roval 400. And here's the crash in real time for the number 10 car. Absolutely nothing he could have done right there. Victim of circumstances, gets ping-ponged off of the 12 of Blaney and hard into that tire barrier. And there was some intense racing for 4th position between Larson and Briscoe. Right there, they make contact as Briscoe's trying to force Larson wide. But through turns 3 and 4 of the oval, 57 of Kyle Larson takes over that 4th position as the 21 of Austin Cindric leads the field back to the caution flag. And under caution, the number 12 of Ryan Blaney actually rams the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Pretty significant front-end damage actually on the 12 car now, and a lot of rear-end damage on the 23 of Bubba. And in fact, I think he rammed the 23 car so hard that he hit up into the rear bumper of the 38 of Alfredo, because there's now front-end damage on the 23 as well. And on lap number 22, we have some damaged cars hitting the pits, including Wallace and Blaney, as well as the number 3 of Austin Dillon. And you may notice that the sun has started to come out. The rain is lighting up just a little bit. Still quite a few clouds in the skies right now. However, fog is starting to roll in, so that's a bit of a concern when it comes to visibility. And so once again, Kevin Magnuson and Martin Truex Jr. actually come down pit road with the pace car. And so the green flag waves once again for Austin Cindric, now on lap number 24. Track surface conditions are still very wet, and off into turn number 1. The 57 of Larson overdrives the corner, gets up into the outside wall, and also gets impacted by the 96 of Drew Herring. And it's the wall for the second time right there off turn 2. And racing up turns 7 and 8, the 77 of Justin Haley gets turned around by sliding up into the number 48 of Alex Bowman. Backing up down the racetrack, he gets hit by the 1 of Kurt Busch. A lot of front-end damage on the 1 car, as well impacted by the 12 of Blaine, but believe it or not, no caution flag. And on lap number 25, numerous damaged cars come down pit road, including Larson, Nick Tandy, Josh Blicky, Chris Buescher, and many others. Lap 25, the 53 of Chase Briscoe actually bests his teammate of Ross Chastain coming off of turn number 8 up on the outside. And on lap number 25, the second place runner of Eric Jones comes down pit road, as well as the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, 42 of Justin Allgaier, 9 of Chase Elliott, 4 of Kevin Harvick, and quite a few others going for just fuel-only pit stops. On lap 27, the number 51 of Catherine Legg and 18 of Kyle Busch come down pit road. On lap 28, Ross Chastain and Drew Herring come down pit road as well. And so as you can tell, the fog rolling in here at Charlotte Motor Speedway is starting to get a little bit more severe. And right now there is only 2 seconds separating race leader Austin Cindric from the number 53 of Chase Briscoe, who is quickly reeling him in. On lap 30, the number 3 of Austin Dillon and the number 01 of Kevin Magnuson come down pit road. And on lap number 30, Chase Briscoe is closed in within 1 second on race leader Austin Cindric. But coming out of turn 14, Cindric ducks onto pit road and hands the race lead over to Chase Briscoe. And Briscoe has no intentions of coming down pit road over the course of this stage. He intends on trying to make it all the way to the end without pitting and then taking the loss at the end of stage number 2 by coming down pit road and being short pitted by all those who are pitting right now. On lap 32, Brandon Jones starts battling 3 wide between Josh Balicki and the 61 of Christopher Bill. Right there makes it stick through turn 1 and lets Bill just barely drive his way around him. On lap number 34, the 5th place runner of Jan Magnussen comes down pit road. And on the final lap of stage number 2, Kaz Grella, the playoff contender who had assumed 5th position, comes down pit road for his service. And Chase Briscoe is absolutely checked out above this field. He holds more than a 5-second separation above the 2nd place runner of Tyler Reddick. There's Briscoe passing our camera. And then right there is Reddick, very far back. Now through turns 3 and 4 of the oval goes Chase Briscoe, running completely unopposed into some of the standing water down in the front straightaway chicane. Takes it very smoothly. Doesn't use up too much of the curb, and Chase Briscoe will sweep the stages here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Briscoe will take home the Stage 2 victory above Tyler Reddick, Anthony Alfredo, Matt DiBenedetto, and Ryan Newman, rounding out your top 5. And so now on lap number 37, the stage number 1 and stage 2 winner of Chase Briscoe hits pit road, as well as the number 6 of Ryan Newman, 71 of Josh Balicki, and the 18 of Kyle Busch. And on the second lap under the caution flag period, the top 3 cars hit pit road, those being Tyler Reddick, Anthony Alfredo, and Matt DiBenedetto. So that is actually going to hand the race lead over to the 37 of Eric Jones, above the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., composing your top 3 to begin the final stage. And so following his pit stop, the number 53 of Chase Briscoe, the stage 1 and 2 sweeper, will restart all the way down in 19th position. He's definitely got his work cut out for him in what is essentially a must-win scenario for Briscoe. And so the green flag will wave on lap number 40 for the final stage here in the Bank of America Roval 400. Already down to turn number 1, we got a battle for the top spot. Hamlin to the inside of Eric Jones. They run side by side. Oh, and off of turn number 2, the 37 of Jones touches the outside wall. Here comes Truex. All over the back bumper, the 11 of Hamlin. Coming off turn number 4. And now down the short chute between 4 and 5. Hamlin's trying to inch his way ahead of the 37. Jones going to try and run him up into the paint. Couldn't quite do it right there. Still side by side throughout the infield portion of the racetrack. Now coming onto the high banks out of turn number 8. Almost made a little bit of contact right there. It looks like the 37 of Jones will clear the 11 of Hamlin. And here comes the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. down on the inside. Truex takes over the second spot, and he's already got a bit of a run on the 37 of Jones. We'll have to see how Truex handles this braking zone on the back straightaway. Oh, and he really outbrakes the 37. Gets to the inside, makes a little bit of contact. Jones hops the turtle in the middle of the back straightaway chicane, and Martin Truex Jr. goes from 3rd to 1st on this restart. Truex out front. And the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing, Chase Elliott, restart all the way down in 5th, and he is going to make his way all the way up to 2nd. Coming into the front straightaway chicane, also A.J. Allmendinger pulled off a great hustle on this restart. Restart all the way down in 7th, now battling for that 5th spot with the 17 of Chris Buescher. And how about Catherine Legg? After getting turned around earlier on in this race, she now runs in 8th position in the 51 for Rick Ware. And we had a big crash entering turn number 1. Number 38 of Anthony Alfredo tries to cross the number 1 car of Kurt Busch over. However, they hook by accident. 38 turns the 1 hard up into the outside tire barrier, knocking both of them out of the race. And here's a look at it in real time. Accidentally hooks the 1, and straight up into the outside wall goes both the 1 and 38. Racing back to the caution flag, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin took over the 3rd spot, meaning the entire top 3 contenders are playoff runners. Martin Truex Jr. leads above Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. And so the green flag will wave once again on lap number 44 for Martin Truex Jr. who gets a very clean restart and a great jump above the 9 car of Elliott down to turn number 1. But we had a very large crash very early. Magnussen tries to go 3 wide through the middle of Justin Allgaier and Kaz Gralla. There's just not enough room for it. They squeeze up into each other. 50 gets turned up into the outside wall. Watch the 42 of Allgaier climbs the outside wall. Turns over, just barely touches the 53 of Chase Briscoe. Almost comes to rest on his side, but then the 34 of Michael McDowell makes contact with him, turning him upside down once again. And then the 42 car gets hit by the 25 of Jordan Taylor. Fortunately, no injuries in this accident, but a very scary one coming off of turn number 2 for Justin Allgaier. And here's the crash in real time. In fact, this is our second rollover accident in today's race. Right there, hard into the outside wall and turns over. And because of how narrow the track is right there, gets hit by both the 34 and the 25 cars. Also piling in was the number 99 of Nick Tandy, who obviously really had nowhere to go in that accident, but this will end both the number 42 and 99 cars' day. And then racing off of turn number 4, Kyle Larson gets put 3 wide up on the outside by Drew Herring, who slides up into him, coming off of turn 4 and turns around the number 57 down the short chute between 4 and 5. And racing back to the caution flag, the 53 of Chase Briscoe is now running in 10th position. Even knowing we're going to have less than 10 laps to go on the restart, you're definitely going to have to watch out for Chase Briscoe because he's still the fastest car on track and he is passing more than 1 car a lap. And on lap number 45, all the damaged cars from that accident hit pit road. And so the green flag will wave once again for Martin Truex Jr. on lap number 46. This time, Chase Elliott makes an aggressive move down to the inside of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., going for the top spot. Well, there's a 3-wide battle for 3rd position as A.J. Allmendinger tries to force the 37 and 11 cars up the racetrack. Right there, Eric Jones returns the favor, trying to push that number 16 up into the paint. Make even more contact right there coming off of turn number 4. The 11 of Hamlin currently holds the advantage. And Elliott and Truex still run side by side for the top spot. Right there, Truex just barely holding the advantage. He's got to try and get a good run coming off of turn number 8 and up onto the high banks because Elliott might be able to outduel him. Coming into the back straightaway chicane, they stay pretty much dead even out of turn number 8. And now Chase Elliott takes away the race lead off of the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And here comes the 53 of Chase Briscoe, making his way around the 21 of Austin Cindric. Going to try and do a deep dive into this back straightaway chicane. Getting side by side with the 17 of Chris Buescher. It looks like he will take away that spot as well. And on lap number 48, the 53 of Chase Briscoe makes the move up on the outside of the 37 of Eric Jones, moving himself all the way up into the top 5 with less than 3 seconds separating him from the race leader of Chase Elliott. And we have big trouble on lap number 48 as playoff drivers get into it. You recall much earlier in today's race, the 34 of Michael McDowell turned the 48 of Alex Bowman. Well, guess what had happened again on lap number 48, somewhat fittingly. Right there, running 3 wide through turns 3 and 4 of the oval, the 34 just dumps the 48 of Alex Bowman, turns him up the racetrack, collects the 22 of Joey Logano, who's as well racing for a playoff advancement. Logano hits the outside wall, then another contender racing for advancement. Kaz Gralla makes contact with this. Kyle Busch just narrowly misses it. Then we have even more trouble as the 50 tries to come down pit road, and there's cars on his inside that he does not exactly know about. Makes contact with the 71 of Bilicki, who then turns around the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Here comes the 01 of Kevin Magnussen, just shears the left front fender off the 01 of Magnussen, knocks both the 12 and 01 cars out of the race, but a big pileup in the final few corners here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And here's a look at the accident in real time. Through 3 and 4 of the oval, just the 34 dumps the 48 car. Remember, these drivers are racing for an advancement into the playoffs. This is the type of action you'll see in this type of a pressure-packed scenario. And then the 50 cars just try and get down to pit road, and Well, there's cars there. It stacks up the 71-12 and especially the 01 of Kevin Magnuson taking a big impact into the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. Following that accident, the number 50 of Kaz Gralla, the number 12 of Ryan Blaney, and the number 01 of Kevin Magnuson were out of the race. This crash ends Kaz Gralla's hopes of advancing to the round of 8. And on lap 49, 10th place runner Quinn Half comes down pit road to repair some damage that he got over the last green flag run. And by the way, Michael McDowell is still in this race. He will restart all the way down in 25th position. Things are not looking too well for McDowell as he pretty much needs to win to make the next round of the playoffs. However, another driver who most likely does have to win is Chase Briscoe. He won the pole, he won the first 2 stages, and he's restarting in 5th position. He's in a great position if he wants to really try and pressure these top 4 runners and try and advance his way into the round of 8. And out of the top 5, 4 of them are playoff contenders: Elliott, Truex, Hamlin, and Briscoe. And the green flag waves with just 5 laps to go in the round of 12. Here comes A.J. Allmendinger, trying to make a 3-wide move for the top spot in turn number 1. Pressuring the 19 and 9 cars up the racetrack. Briscoe makes contact with the 11 of Denny Hamlin, turns him into the inside wall. Back up into the 21 of Cindric, who sends Hamlin up into the outside tire barrier. Here comes oncoming traffic. 6 of Newman piles in. 2 of DiBenedetto in it as well. No caution as of yet. And the field still battling for the top spot. Allmendinger up on the outside. Into the paint. That area is very slick up there. Here comes Briscoe through the middle. He leans on the number 16 of Allmendinger. Absolutely driving his way through the field. Now shoves the 19 of Truex wide and also into the outside wall. He dumped Hamlin, shoved Truex into the wall, and is muscling the 16 of Allmendinger out of the way. No caution flag as of yet. But Briscoe is absolutely not making any friends in his effort to try and win his way into the round of 8. He's trying to outduel the number 16 of A.J. Allmendinger for second spot, and these two running side by side has allowed the 9 of Chase Elliott to gap them by more than 1 second. Right now, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin is severely damaged and just barely hanging on to around a 13th place running position. Now he almost gets turned around by the 8 of Reddick, sliding all the way out of turn 4 of the oval. But Hamlin trying to salvage what almost could have been a victory, but is now just damage control. And the number 53 of Chase Briscoe has outdueled the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger coming out of the final chicane. Now just 1 car separates him from an advancement into the round of 8, 2.3 seconds the margin. And Denny Hamlin is absolutely furious with both Chase Briscoe and NASCAR right now, feeling that the crash was deserving of a caution flag, and also the fact that he definitely feels like he was done wrong by Briscoe, who practically dumped him outright to try and further his advance towards the front. And we have yet another run-in on lap number 52, 3-wide battle coming up turn number 7. The lap car of Suarez up on the outside, the lead lap car of Chris Buescher running in 7th. They squeeze each other up into the outside wall, and the 00 just sends the 17 car around. And I'm telling you, Michael McDowell is absolutely destroying his car trying to battle his way back through this field. Right there just rams the 8 of Reddick coming into the back straightaway chicane. Barely anything straight left on that 34 of Michael McDowell. Restart this race down in 25th position. He knows he has to win to make the next round, and he's definitely trying his hardest at the moment. And Chase Elliott has been struggling in the braking zones where there is standing water. Both chicanes. Right there, the 53 of Chase Briscoe made up about half a second in the braking zone on the 9 of Chase Elliott. Right here, let's watch from the number 9 car of Chase Elliott coming into the front straightaway chicane. Coming to just 3 laps to go. Oh, and look at the amount of time the 53 is making up in the braking zone alone. Right there, Elliott struggled coming off the curb. Oh, Briscoe is there. He makes a look down on the inside, coming into turn number 1. This is the battle for the race lead and also for an advancement into the round of 8. Chase Briscoe is back out front. here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Roval still running side by side with Elliott. Really sent it off into the corner. All the way up onto the paint, almost slid up into the outside tire barrier. Briscoe knows he needs to run this car hard to try and secure this victory to make the next round. Right there, slides all the way out into the paint, gets that left rear tire into the mud. Still running side by side with Elliott, and finally clears right up in front of him. Takes the position away, and an extremely determined drive out of Briscoe, going from 5th all the way to 1st, muscling his way completely through this field, and now into the position to take home his 3rd win on the season and lock himself into the round of 8 if he can keep it clean for this next 2.5 laps. Because right there you see the number 9 car of Elliott just cannot hang with him in the braking zone, and the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger is pretty much out of contention. And how about this? The 34 of McDowell has raced his way all the way up to 10th already. 15 cars passed in just 2 laps. Right there, he gets to the inside, the 19 of Truex, who's been dropping very quickly. Going to try and pull a move on both Catherine Legg and Tyler Reddick on the front straightaway chicane. I do not think that McDowell's got enough time to try and win this race, but he is going for every point he can get. Right there, forces the 8 car of Reddick into a mistake. 2 laps to go. The 34 of Michael McDowell has moved his way all the way up to 7th position. He's got the 51 and the 21 cars up in front of him. I don't think McDowell can do anything about the lead gap because he's 10.5 seconds back from the 53 of Briscoe. He will certainly need a green-white checker to make anything happen. But McDowell driving the wheels and all the sheet metal off the 34 car at the moment. The 53 of Chase Briscoe is absolutely driving away from the number 9 of Chase Elliott. The separation is now more than 2 seconds, as Briscoe is just far superior in the braking zones right where the standing water is because of the way the drainage is at this facility. Right down here is where the water is at its worst. There's a grate on the inside of the track right there, and that's where all the water funnels straight to, right at the bottom of that back straightaway chicane. You can tell the 53 car is still gapping the number 9. Here comes the 34 of McDowell, working his way to the inside of the 21 of Austin Cindric. This is the battle for 5th position. He puts the bumper to the 21, moves him way up the hill. Remember, this is the exact same 34 car that almost wrecked completely out of the race just a few laps ago. Now takes away the 5th position. Michael's got a lot of experience in rain racing, and it's definitely showing now as the white flag waves. McDowell is obviously way too far behind to try and win this race, but he could potentially even take away the 4th position as he's reeling in the 37 of Eric Jones. How about Catherine Legg as well? Running in the top 10 in the 51 for Rick Ware Racing. Look at this separation between the 53 of Briscoe and the 9 of Chase Elliott. Right there, Briscoe overdrove turn number 6, got up into the paint. That's certainly not something you want to do. This is a very wet racetrack even from earlier. And paint, as I mentioned before, is slick to begin with. Once you get a little bit of water on it, it's nearly undrivable. And now Briscoe's final 2 challenges left are the back straight and front straightaway chicanes. Gets into the braking zone very cleanly. Kind of babying the car through right there, just barely clipped the curb. And now one more chicane for Chase Briscoe. He knew he had to win this race to make the next round. Came in here at a pretty significant deficit. Won the pole. Won both stages in one of the most determined drives I think we've seen in recent Cup Series history. Chase Briscoe runs through the front straightaway chicane to win the Bank of America Roval 400 and advance his way into the round of 8, continuing his quest for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Briscoe wins it by 4.2 seconds above the number 9 of Chase Elliott, who put up a great effort there in the end, but Briscoe bests the field here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. He knew he had to go after the victory, and that's exactly what he has pulled off here today in a very impressive drive through the field in the final 5 laps. And by the way, Michael McDowell actually drove his way around the 37 of Eric Jones coming off of turn number 8. and through turns 1 and 2 of the oval. McDowell obviously was way too far behind to try and win this race, but he put up a fantastic effort, practically destroying his car in the process. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of people he's going to have to make phone calls with, especially Alex Bowman after this one. But Michael McDowell for Front Row Motorsports have brought home a 4th place finish with a race car that I'd say was destined for the junkyard. Even knowing it was not enough to advance them into the next round of the playoffs, I'll give them an extreme amount of credit for the effort that they put up and for Michael McDowell's drive all the way through the field. In the final 5 laps, he went from 25th to 4th. A remarkable effort out of this organization. And so Chase Briscoe has scored the victory here in the Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Even though he won the pole and he swept both stages and he won the race, it did not come easily for him, especially that final 5-lap restart where he certainly made an enemy out of Denny Hamlin and quite possibly the rest of the top 5 that he was racing against, because he not only dumped Hamlin, but beat and banged his way through A.J. Allmendinger and Martin Truex Jr. with an incredible pass through the middle, running through the infield, and then finally catching and sliding up in front of the number 9 of Chase Elliott, reminiscent of the battle we saw 2 years ago between Hendrick Motorsports and Starcom Speed Station drivers Jimmy Johnson and Jan Magnussen. I guess you could say this was a passing of the torch as the battle came down to Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe. Elliott, who had been mentored for many years by Jimmy Johnson, and Chase Briscoe, who has credited Jan Magnussen for most of the experience that he utilized to take home the victory here today in the adverse track conditions that we saw in both the rain, the heavy rain, the light rain, and the fog that we had here today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. So Briscoe wins the pole, both stages, and the race here at Charlotte, and led the most laps to score the victory to lock himself into the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Chase Elliott brings the number 9 car home in second spot with 6 laps led. A.J. Allmendinger will finish in third position. In the 16 for Kaulig Racing, Michael McDowell with a fantastic performance there in those final 5 laps from 25th to 4th position. Great run there out of that FRM team. Eric Jones, once again, Mr. Consistency at this point, brings the 37 car home in 5th position. Austin Cindric finishes in 6th spot, the number 21 for the Wood Brothers. Tyler Reddick in 7th position for Richard Childress Racing. Catherine Legg in the number 51 for Rick Ware Racing brought it home in 8th spot, the highest finisher of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series ringers. Martin Truex Jr. brought home the number 19 car in 9th position after he faded late in the going. And how about this? Justin Haley brought home a 10th place finish. Haley has been mentored by A.J. Allmendinger a lot this season. You can definitely tell those road course racing skills that Allmendinger has started to rub off onto Justin Haley after he finished 3rd at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course and now 10th here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval in these tough track conditions. And in the playoff standings, Chase Briscoe's victory actually moved the entire cutoff line up 1 position because Briscoe won his way in to the round of 8 from being beneath the line. So Briscoe obviously has secured a spot with the victory. Chase Elliott is plus 63 above the cutoff line. Obviously a very comfortable margin there. Daniel Suarez, even with his poor finish here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval of 31st position, he still makes it by a comfortable 43 points because of all the playoff points he scored this season. Kyle Busch plus 31, as well as his teammate Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin, all 3 Gibbs cars right there, plus 31. Then the 4th Gibbs car of Brandon Jones, plus 26. So the round of 8 will consist of 4 Gibbs cars, by the way. That's going to be tough competition right there. And finally, Kevin Harvick made it by just plus 24 points above the cutoff line. Obviously, all the margins are pretty big because Briscoe won his way in, and that moved the cutoff line up 1 full position. So that made the margins a lot larger than they would have been otherwise. So that means your round of 8 will consist of 3 Chevrolets, 4 Toyotas, and only 1 Ford. And now finally, the drivers who will not continue their quest for the NASCAR Cup Series title. Alex Bowman and Joey Logano, both 24 points out of making the round of 8. Joey Logano, being the regular season champion, does not advance to the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Obviously, the fact that he has not won a race yet this season definitely couldn't have helped him. Even though he scored 15 playoff points, he scored 0 playoff points for wins this year. and the victories are obviously the easiest way to get those playoff points. For instance, Daniel Suarez has 20 playoff points just from wins alone this year. Then we have Michael McDowell, who put up that valiant effort here in the final 5 laps at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, going from 25th to 4th. It just was not enough. He had to win his way in, so he misses the next round by 32 points. And finally, Kaz Gralla, who suffered 2 DNFs in this round, misses the round of 8 by a full 43 points. And so here are the reseeded point standings following the reset that will begin the round of 8. Daniel Suarez moves back up to the top of the point standings by 12 points above Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, and Kevin Harvick. Then we have Chase Elliott, who sets 5th, 13 points out of the lead. Denny Hamlin 6th, 14 points out. Brandon Jones in 7th, 17 points out. And Martin Truex Jr. in 8th, 20 points out of the point lead. And remember, this is the round that sets the championship 4. We're getting ever closer to the championship race at Atlanta. Just 4 races left in the NASCAR Cup Series season. It is definitely crunch time. And so now, looking back, the highest driver in points, who has already been eliminated from the playoffs but at least made the top 16, that is now Alex Bowman in the number 48 car. He was extremely frustrated with the number 34 of Michael McDowell following this race as well, after McDowell turned him not once but twice, and then went on to finish in 4th position. There was some heated conversation between those two. Kyle Larson sets 10th in points, Matt DiBenedetto in 11th, Joey Logano in 12th spot, Michael McDowell up in 13th, Kaz Gralla in 14th position, Justin Allgaier in 15th, and Josh Bilicki all the way down in 16th position, still the last of all the drivers who made the playoffs. And then the highest driver who did not make the playoffs this season is still Clint Boyer in 17th. Then we have Eric Jones 18th, Ross Chastain in 19th, and Tyler Reddick in 20th. And I should also mention that there was nearly a large confrontation in victory lane, as Denny Hamlin was extremely frustrated with the driver, the number 53 of Chase Briscoe. Fortunately, because of Hamlin's ranting on the radio following being dumped by the number 53 of Chase Briscoe, NASCAR officials were there and monitoring the driver, the number 11, before anything could get too far. And believe it or not, we do not have any questions to go over in today's episode of Post Tech. None have been submitted, which I guess in a way is kind of good on NASCAR's part, because that means that nothing in the sport right now is questionable. It's all straightforward, which might quite possibly be the first time that has ever happened in our sanctioning body's history. Well, we do appreciate all the questions that typically get sent in, but this week has just been an exception. And so I leave you with this. This does it for our coverage of the final 2 races of the round of 12 in the NASCAR Cup Series from Michigan and the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. We hope that you have enjoyed it. The next time you'll be seeing us will be on Post Tech once again, where we cover the round of 8 in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The races from Martinsville Speedway, Homestead Miami Speedway, and Talladega Super Speedway, which will determine the championship 4 who will go after that title at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Don't miss it. It's going to be most likely one of the most action-packed rounds of the season among any of the national divisions. And you can catch it all right here on Speed Station next week.